And just like that, the NBA playoffs have found another way to surprise me. I can't believe the Miami Heat, man. This stuff is crazy. But yeah, let's talk about the playoffs last night. So yeah, the Miami Heat get a win. Just when you think that they're dead, the Miami Heat find a way. They just always do. You know, we obviously didn't talk about game ones at all, but when I was watching this game, I was like, man, my analysis of this really just is like, well, this is the Celtics who are just that talented, and the Heat that are just, you know, they're depleted, right? You look at their roster and they're pretty depleted, missing guys like Jimmy Butler and Terry Rozier, right? And you're like, this team can't keep doing this, right? Like they can't keep finding ways to win just purely off of will against a team that's this loaded. I mean, this team is absolutely stacked here in Boston. But when I was watching the game, I literally said to myself at one point, I was watching it by myself, I was like, why do I ever doubt this team? Like, what in my brain makes me think that I'm smart enough to think that this team is going to lose? I don't know what it is about me, but I need to assume that the Miami Heat can win at any single moment in any single game against any single team. That's just how it is. But let's actually talk about the basketball side of things. So this one, pretty simple from like a baseline perspective. Took 43 three-pointers, made 23 of them. That's pretty nuts. That is a lot of threes. That's one of the best shooting performances you'll ever see. Obviously, Coach Spo gave these guys a lot of confidence going into this game to be like, hey, you guys just like let it fly. And as far as like our 2-star players that we have, we've got Bam and we've got Tyler Hero. He's like, Tyler, you're going to be the ball handler. You're going to have to do it all for us. And we're going to run like the offense through Bam primarily. He got to really do his hub thing where he's just operating in the middle of the court. He's hitting a lot of mid-range jumpers. He's then rim running at times, and Tyler Hero's just trying to facilitate as much as possible. Everyone else, just like, you get an open three-pointer, you just go. Like, you got 3 of 4 from Jovic, which is awesome. Like, Jaime Jaquez shot 50%. Caleb Martin was just letting it fly, and he was even attacking closeouts, like, really, really well. Tyler Hero had 14 assists and 3 turnovers, when historically, like, Tyler Hero's, like, not a great facilitator, and that was a criticism I've often had of him, is like, yeah, when is he going to take that step to where he can just have the ball in his hands and be a creator for the rest of the team a little bit more? And you know what? Last night, he was doing it. I didn't feel like the Celtics were, like, putting, like, a ton of pressure on him, honestly. Like, I was a little bit confused why, but you know what, he was taking what they were giving him, and he was just making it happen, man. So shout out to Tyler Hero, and like even guys like Haywood Highsmith just like really out there contributing, which was really awesome to see. Let's talk about the Celtics now, because the Celtics just had like a couple really interesting points in this game. Obviously, Jaylen Brown kind of in like that third quarter. Was it the third quarter? Yeah, I think it was like the third quarter where he kind of went on that little run there and he started really going off. Jason Tatum had points where he was like, okay, I'm not passing the ball anymore because y'all are pissing me off, which that's going to happen when a team is hitting that many threes against you and you feel like you're playing solid enough defense. And like, obviously the Miami Heat are very pesty on defense, so it really felt like they were getting to him a little bit, but he was still just like, he was being aggressive. I thought he played really, really well. The turnovers were obviously like a little bit high for Tatum, but that's just the Heat swarming defense a little bit. Porzingis was pretty rough, obviously, for having that much of like a height advantage and a spacing advantage. I know Bam can really go out and guard a lot of people, but the Heat were just like switching everything. So like that's both on like Missoula and on Porzingis to try and find those mismatches when you can, right? Because the Heat switching defense, which they went to trapping Brown and Tatum at one point in the game, which that's when the Celtics kind of started going on their runs again. I was like, no, just keep switching everything. Like, look at this rotation that you have. Like, just literally keep switching everything. All these guys are switchable players. But anyway, throughout all that switching, you would think that you'd be able to find like a Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis switch that you can get to that'll let Porzingis get some height on him, and then maybe the Heat have to send a double or something. They kick it out and find a Brown Tatum shooter or something like that. I don't know. Like, there's got to be something there where you can take advantage of the switching. But that is basketball at the end of the day. When you can switch on defense, you just are going to be like that much harder to stop. And when the Heat players just believe like they do, and they're like, hey, we can go take it to this team, we really just don't care, right? Like that's the kind of thing you can do with all that effort. Sam Hauser and Al Horford played really good games off the bench. I thought Peyton Pritchard was honestly fine. He played pretty limited minutes for the most part, but I thought he was very competitive as well. It's just the starters just couldn't get anything going against that switching defense. So I don't know what to tell you. I have to imagine the next game they're going to come out and really try to find a way to abuse mismatches and stuff, because there's still going to be physical mismatches, right? And at the end of the day, Porzingis is the most like physically, we'll say, imposing force out there, and so maybe running a little bit more of the offense through him is going to be to their benefit. Like, let's just say we run some sort of switch or something where, because who's guarding Tatum for the most part? It's like Caleb Martin. So if you can get a switch of Porzingis onto Caleb Martin, like that just opens up your offense a lot more, right? If like, because I'm assuming that Tatum's being the primary ball handler, Porzingis is setting screens for him. They're switching that stuff. If they start trapping, then you just start hitting the short roll, and then you'd probably want to get more so like, do you get like a Jaylen Brown involved then so that he can be more of a facilitator? Or do you maybe have like Drew Holiday set that screen so that he can be the short roll option? There's things you can do here with all the spacing and talent you have and everything. Like, the Boston Celtics should just win, but the Miami Heat can get it done at any single possible moment. So honestly, just shout out to those guys. All right, well, this game wasn't quite as entertaining, but like it was entertaining in a different way, just because like it's like you have a kid and he's playing like little league basketball, and he's just like, you're like, wow, he's growing up. He had like his first 20-point game or something like that, and you're like, oh wow, like it's all coming together. Like, that's kind of what it felt like watching the Thunder, and obviously the Thunder have been good all season, but just to go and see them really give it to a team was pretty cool to watch. So you know what, let's just start off with the Thunder then. Obviously Shea was amazing. Josh Giddey again played the connecting role for everything, just really played within himself, very awesome. And like, I shouldn't just mow over Shea, like, but like, that's how good he is, right? That's just how good he is. He can get any shot he wants to at any time, and he's just so smooth and so talented. It's awesome. I know Chet was saying after the game, like, this is the MVP, and like most seasons, yes, I'm still probably giving it to like Jokic, but like, man, Shea was absolutely incredible this season. And then speaking of Chet was awesome last night. You saw Valanciunas actually like going at Chet, which I was saying before. I'm like, this is actually like one of the like few matchups that the Pelicans really need to exploit. It's Brandon Ingram as a ball handler and Valanciunas in the post, and they actually gave him the ball a little more, and he was really bullying Chet, right? But Chet gave it back to him by being a floor spacing 5 that Valanciunas did not want any part of whatsoever, because of course he doesn't, right? Like, that's not his space to operate out there on the perimeter. That's just not the skill set that he has. And so Chet made him pay, right? Hitting 50% of his threes, hit 3 threes last night, and he turned that into driving opportunities too, because people are having to close them out a little bit higher, and that way the Thunder can keep their drive and kick offense going. Lou Dort, great defense and floor spacer as always. Love the Dortcher chamber. And then Jalen Williams, man, like, if I haven't said it on this channel before, I think Jalen Williams is a future all-star. Like, I just really do. The swagger that he plays the game with, the intensity that he plays the game with, just his ability to get out in transition and finish so strongly. He's so talented. He's not afraid of anybody. His 3-point shot is coming along. Like, I think this guy could be an all-star, man. I really do. He's just got it, man. And he just plays basketball the right way. And so do the Thunder in general, right? Like, there's so much ball movement and everything. Like, nobody's really caring about who's getting touches where. They're just playing basketball, and that's testament to them. They're playing 11 guys, right? Like, we talk about the other teams and the fact that it's usually a 7-8-man rotation in the playoffs. They're playing 11 guys, like, quality minutes on this team, and like most of them are really young dudes outside of like Gordon Hayward. So just absolutely credit to like this team and being able to manage them. Like, shout out Jalen Williams coming off the bench, just providing some decent big man minutes for them. I love Isaiah Joe. Isaiah Joe is like a really fun young player. If he was on any other team and wasn't buried beneath all this other talent, you'd be like, wow, Isaiah Joe's like really going to be something in this league. Cason Wallace, I rarely see a rookie come in and just really embrace a role so quickly, especially at the guard position. Obviously, he's not doing a ton of ball handling on this team, which makes his rookie campaign a lot easier. But just the defense that he plays with, the fact that he's always the right place, right time on the court, it's awesome to see. Gordon Hayward just being a vet out there, whether it's just getting rebounds, continuing the drive and kick offense, that's awesome. And then Aaron Wiggins, someone I didn't really understand why he was getting the PT that he was in like past seasons. I was like, I'm not really sure what I see in this guy. He's really starting to impress me. Like, I'm really starting to see it now. Just kind of a Swiss Army knife guy that can just do a little bit of everything. And he's even taken on more like ball handling roles with the team. Again, very limited minutes, but I see why they like having him out there now. And I'm really starting to like his game. Alrighty, now on to the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram can't take 10 shots. That's how are you expected to win with that? But I will say that the 10 shots that he took were like actually good shots. I was kind of critical of Brandon up to this point, because I was like, and I know he was coming off of injury and everything, but I'm like, okay, these shots are not that great that you're taking. You're hitting some high difficulty shots, but you're not getting like any separation. It looks really, really hard to get to these shots. Like, I don't know how long you can actually sustain this. I'm like, we have to find a way to create more. And one of the things that we saw in this game was he got a lot closer to the hoop, but he still operated out of the mid-range, but he's not taking like just a step within the three-point line shots now, right? Like, he was actually getting a lot closer to the rim and he was hitting those mid-range shots. That's awesome, right? Like, Brandon Ingram, like we said, one of the few like actual like matchup exploitations that the Pelicans have on this team is because he's so like big and long and tall and coordinated and he can handle the ball. He can go at any of the OKC Thunder guys and have an advantage. My concern, though, is if you have Brandon Ingram and he's not getting that close to the hoop, I feel like you run into spacing problems, and that's kind of what you saw in, like, the first game here. It's like, okay, like, yeah, if you kind of have everybody operating around the mid-range, like Valanciunas isn't really spacing or anything like that, it's like, okay, what happens now? So we have to make sure that Brandon Ingram is actually making, like, good attempts to get to the rim, especially if he's not going to take three-pointers, which I'd love to find a way to get Brandon Ingram going from three, but if he's just going to operate from the mid-range, then we got to find a way to really give him as much space as possible to operate there and make it difficult. But OKC's got a lot of good defenders out there, so that's a tough one. Trey Murphy, I love the energy that he's playing with. I like that when he does get the ball, because a lot of times it's in shot clock situations, he's very decisive and he's making things happen. I love the 3-point shooting. I'd love for them to try and get some more off-ball movement to try and make his shots a little bit easier to get so he doesn't have to create them, because that's kind of a tough thing for him. That's just a part that hasn't come around in his game yet, and that's fine. He's young. Like, if everybody was great at everything, then, you know, they're all superstars, right? But no, I like Trey Murphy. I was glad Jonas Valanciunas actually got like some touches down low, and he was like not good at finishing around the rim like up to this point, but he actually was a lot better this game. I know they only played him like 20 some minutes. Oh wait, I have the stats right in front of me. I'm dumb. 22 minutes. Yeah, so he only played 22 minutes. I'd probably like to see more of that, because I feel like him on like the offensive glass, boxing out guys like Chet, and just getting some easy ones around the rim is going to be a way for the Pelicans to stay in this thing. Herb Jones basically playing the same role as Trey Murphy. Love the intensity and everything. Love the speed that he's playing the game with. They just got to find a way to make it a little bit easier for him. And then CJ McCollum is just having a hard time, man. Just like, I feel like we're at the point in his career a little bit where physically, he's never been a very physically gifted player. He's always been very skill oriented, right? Even back to like the college days. And now we're starting to see when he's getting older and it's a little bit harder to create separation, and you've got these dynamic guards on their team with so much size, and Shea and Giddey, or if it's just like Dort or something that ends up on him, like he's just not able to create the same way, and he still makes like a lot of really good plays. It's just you're starting to see a little bit that it's like, okay, like how much can he really create for himself nowadays, right? So hopefully the 3-point shot can come back up a little bit. It was pretty solid in the last game, but for now, CJ wasn't quite there. Alvarado always brings the energy, but just not a great game last night. I even picked up like some silly offensive fouls and stuff, so you know that's not the best. Larry Nance Jr. continues to be an energy guy. When he's in, like they really need to emphasize offensive rebounds, right? Because most likely that means like Chet's not in or something like that, and they don't, like the Thunder aren't going to rebound when like Chet's not in, and Chet's not a good rebounder himself. Like they rely on team rebounding, and Larry Nance Jr. is a guy that should be able to get a ton of offensive rebounds. So I'd be trying to emphasize that as much as possible. And then Najee Marshall, also like the energy that he brings defensively and everything. I don't think you need him in the game. I feel like you just kind of rotate between having at least two of Brandon Ingram, Trey Murphy, and Herbin at all times. I'm going to advocate to get Jordan Hawkins in the game, and I know I've talked about this before. Their offense isn't coming easy enough, and so having a guy out there that can really just go get some buckets, and I know that's putting a lot of pressure on a young rookie and everything, but I'd much rather see him out there right now and them trying to get a little more spacing on the court, somebody that could be really dynamic and go off at any moment, can really like swing the momentum of a series. So if you want to take these 25 minutes that he has, give some more to Nance and Valanciunas, right, and then get Jordan Hawkins in the game, I know you're giving up some size defensively and everything, and that's going to be really hard with how OKC plays because of the drive and kick nature of it all. But I really think you need the spacing and the dynamic offense that Jordan Hawkins can bring. So that's not a very intuitive way that coaches normally think, but I'd probably be calling his number right about now. Yeah, y'all, that's it. I'll be curious to see what happens with Heat Celtics. Like, can the Heat win the next game? I mean, at this point, I need to learn my lesson and be like, yeah, nope, they very well could win. That's the Miami Heat, right? It's like the Kansas City Chiefs in football. They can always win. It doesn't matter. And then I think it's going to be hard for the Pelicans to do this one. The Thunder just have so much swagger at this point, but hey, Brandon Ingram can make it happen. They have a great array of role players here. Hopefully Zion's back at some point. I don't really even know what his timetable is or anything, but man, I'd love to see Zion against Chet. That'd be so much fun. But hey, until then, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment. I've responded to every comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, so make sure you go leave one because I want to talk to you guys. But anyway, I'm going to get on with the rest of my day because it's early. It's like 6 a.m. and I'm trying to get this video out to you guys. But anyway, thanks so much, y'all.